Hey, deserving listeners, time to continue our journey watching Rebecca and Zied on 90 Day Fiancé. Let's get to the show.
I hope he's back towards the tent. It's one of the last days that Zied and I are together in Tunisia. And I'd finally worked up the courage to tell Zied that I'm technically still married to my ex. But it did not go well.
Honestly, I wish people would use the word legally married, because technically married could go a lot of different ways. But legally, or maybe an even more accurate way of putting it in my understanding is we haven't finalized the divorce. Maybe that's the way I'd word it. Is like, yeah, I mean, we're still, according to the government, we're still married, but that's just because we haven't had a chance to get the paperwork. Now, we haven't heard from her why they are still legally married, but the word technically married, I don't know, doesn't inspire confidence. So anyway, let's continue watching.
Because I not still with woman married. Never I doing this is. This not my character and this not me.
But the papers are filed.
In your country, you are divorced or no? No, you are married or no?
I don't know how to answer that. I really don't. Because we both signed the divorce papers.
You signed?
We signed them. Our name. Yes.
Him too?
Yes, him too.
Why you tell me you are not divorced?
Because the paperwork isn't finished yet. That's it.
Right. So that's much different than we're still technically married. It's like we've filed the papers. Now we just have to wait for some stupid clerk to get to the bottom of the pile where our paper is and do the stamp, and then we're good. So, yeah, I don't know. This happens a lot on the show, and it just makes me sad because people that don't know will have this notion of like, well, you know, divorce, you just divorce, right? Yeah, in some situations, but in a lot of situations, it takes months or years to get everything all together, sign all the papers, you know, get it through the right channels, make sure you use the right forms. Sometimes you got to go into court and make a public declaration. And it could be months or years after you were done with the relationship, you know, from the time you're done with the relationship, absolutely, to the time when you actually have the government stamp of approval for the divorce could be months, if not years. And to me, that's not fair to the people to have to deal with that. I wish as a society, I keep saying this every single time, I wish as a society, we just said an agreement, we just said, look, when you're married and you decide not to be married, when two people decide not to be married, then they are officially divorced. And now we just have to make sure the government figures it out because it's going to take time for them. And I always say this too, why do we look to the government to validate our lives? Why do we look to the government to validate whether or not we're in a relationship or not? For example, me and my wife have a document that says we are officially married. You know, when we got married, we had to sign all these things and, you know, submit to the right places, and we got married. So let's say, for some weird reason, some snafu happened with the paperwork, and we go to the government, they're like, no, you never did this form. You haven't been married this whole time. Should I look at my wife and go like, do you mean we've never been married and this whole time we haven't been married? No. Or another situation, say there's another couple or yourself, let's say for yourself, any of you people who have been divorced before. Let's say for whatever reason, you get a divorce and then later on you get married. And for some weird reason, there was some form that wasn't filed during your divorce, and it's made known to you 25 years later that some form didn't happen with the government, or some clerk lost something, or some clerk put something in the wrong, you know, filing cabinet, and you discover that because of that reason, you are now officially still married to that person. Are you supposed to throw yourself on the ground in shame as if, oh my God, I'm still married? No. You say, well, the government made a mistake. That's all you say. We can decide for ourselves when we are in a relationship and when we are not. Can we not? So, and I guess this all stems from, you know, this whole rant I've been saying for decades, because our government, the United States and my state of Washington government, for most of my life, did not recognize gay marriage. Two men or two women could not get married in my country or my city because the government decided not to recognize that. Does that invalidate their relationships? No. Now, we do want the government to have that, and we fought hard for it. I fought hard for it and was celebrating when it was recognized by my state and eventually by my country. But the point is that because for Rebecca, they have both signed the papers, which I was waiting for the details. Like, well, where are they in that process? And just because some clerk hasn't, picked it up and gone through with it, or just because there's a, 3 to 6 month waiting period or something, does that mean she's still married? No. Now, Zied can have his own ideas about that. He might feel like, one, that's not my style. I don't want to be with someone until they are legally, officially done. That's just how I want to live. There's nothing wrong with that. And two, you've been lying to me this whole time? That doesn't feel good. That's very hurtful and very worrisome, because what else are you lying to me about? But anyway, that's just my long rant about that. And incidentally, the reason why we call ourselves couples therapists instead of marriage therapists is because for a long time in my profession is officially called marriage and family therapy, or a license in marriage and family therapy. Well, my university, Antioch in Seattle, we fought against that because many people by law were not allowed to get married. So we're just supposed to exclude people that aren't married. So that's why we changed our program at the university to be called couple and family therapy. And that's why we fought hard to label it couples therapy, not marriage therapy. But now gay people are and lesbians are allowed to get married. I mean, they are recognized by the government. But still, there are plenty of people who choose never to get married. And so they should be recognized too. Anyway, I'll get off my... I'm allowed that soapbox rant once a couple, and so box checked. Let's move on.
What time finish this report?
When I go back to America, it'll be another week, probably. Look, I cannot lose you. I don't want to lose you over this.
بالنسبة لزوجها السابق, I not like him because me Arabic and him Arabic too. خبيت عليه الحكاية ذي ما قالتليش وهذيك ما نحبهاش أنا.
Exactly. She kept this secret for a long time, and that's what I hate the most. Yeah. It is so hurtful and so disorienting to learn, wait, you've been lying to me this whole time? From the very beginning, you said you were divorced. You said it was over. And it wasn't officially over? I hear you that you're no longer with him. But why didn't you tell me this before? It's so hurtful. Why? What else are you not telling me about? Yeah. This is a part of life that we're taught in kindergarten, that people need to remember what they were taught when they were 4 or 5 or 6, to not lie. Now, there are situations where maybe it's okay and maybe even a good idea to lie, but it's pretty rare. And certainly in this situation, I don't think that it's a good idea.
ماذا بيا كان لزم حتى نعرس بها. ما حاليا في مخي ما نعرفش على روحي شنو نجم نعمل لريبيكا. This only you want to tell me this is? Not something other make me angry in your life?
Nothing else.
Nothing.
No.
You promise me?
Yes.
Right. So that's the position he's in, is he has to say, so there's nothing else, you promise? And she's like, yes, there's nothing else. Well, how do you know? That's what trust is. Trust is experience. And he has experience right now to tell him that she lies to him. When she is afraid, she will lie to him. So now it's going to take a long time of no lies, no evidence of lying, for him to really be able to trust again. That's what we do to our partners when we lie to them, when we lie by omission, is when they discover the lie, which they usually do, or they suspect the lie, which they usually do, that resets the egg timer back to 0. And now we have to wait for months and years of no lies and no indication of deception for them to feel like, yeah, I feel like I can trust. I feel like I'm almost back up to 100%, but I'll never be at 100% because they've proven to me that they've lied before. That's important. When we are in our anxiety and we are thinking about lying, I'm worried I'm going to lose him. I'm worried he's going to reject me. I'm worried he is not going to like me because of this. And we have this impulse, my solution is I'm going to lie. There are other solutions to try. But to lie is just to push forward that pain and that problem and amplify it in the future. I don't know, but I'm guessing that if she had told him this earlier, that he would have said, well, maybe we don't do as much voice chat. Let's wait until you're done with the paperwork, and then you can come over here. Like, what would be wrong with that? But now he's in a situation where he's thinking, wow, she's been lying to me the whole time. What else is she lying to me about? Now, I will say that Rebecca has navigated this relationship, I think, pretty well thus far. And this is the one issue that I think she exhibited. I get it. She was scared. She wanted to make sure he didn't reject her. But I don't think it's a fair thing to do to someone, just to lie to somebody.
I can't handle you being angry with me.
I don't want this too. You know this is.
I know.
I have this so much.
You know I'm only yours. I'm for you only.
I wish this really. Okay? Because this not really.
I promise. You still love me?
Yes.
And the way that she's dealing with it is pretty healthy as well. She's exhibiting her vulnerability, her sorriness, is that a word? Sorriness? Her wish for him to still love her, she is exhibiting that this is a big deal to her, that she's very worried without getting accusatory and hostile, without distancing. We've seen that in other couples where they're in Rebecca's shoes and they'll attack or they'll distance or they'll overreact. And I think she's exhibiting those core emotions, where all emotions stem from, right? Where all attachment reactivity stems from, which is pain and anxiety. And she's exhibiting that gives him the opportunity to take care of her, which he's doing right now. He's like, yes, I do still love you. So I think this is going pretty well under the circumstances.
Because not accept this. Here in Tunisia, my country, Arabic, and not accept this.
There is a huge issue that we are still very worried about. If his family were to find out, he'd have to choose between me or his family.
Well, they're going to find out.
No, I don't know that.
You don't know that? No. Okay. You're not sure if they will or not. Well,
they don't watch the show. They do not speak English. Yeah, they're probably going to find out.
So Sean's like, they're not going to find out? Okay. And then Rebecca's like, well, they don't watch TV. They don't speak English. Yeah, I guess they're probably going to find out because, someone's going to tweet something to someone and then someone's going to tell them at the very least. So, yeah, they're going to find out. Yikes. All right, so I skipped ahead, or I watched, but there wasn't really much to react to. And now we're on to another season called What Now? 90 Day Fiancé, What Now? I think it's a season where they kind of check in with past couples. And so it's been a year since they were in person together, long-distance relationship, still engaged. And she's saying that Zied is able to come over in a couple months from this point. And I think this might have been a year or so ago. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.